So you know which companies or which type of companies that I think can or have the best possible chance of doing something to address systemic racism? Everyone always thinks that, we've got to be looking at the big organisations, so the ones with a few hundred, a few thousand employees all over the world, right? And we talk about these great big diversity, equity and inclusion programs. We talk about the need to be buying in a whole load of resource and it's not to say that that is one of the ways to do it, but you know what? There is something about what I call the little guys, right? So the startups, the companies that have like 15, 20, 25, 100 employees, it's really easy when you're starting off your company to build in equitable practices from day dot. It becomes very difficult the larger you are, because you have people who are wedded to processes, who are wedded to the way things are done around here, and it makes it more difficult for them to change. It's not to say that they can't change, but let's be honest, we're talking about going through lots of meetings, lots of steering committees, task forces, project management teams, talking about project leads, talking about external consultants, talking about this, talking about that. It's a lot of time to plan to do something. Now, with all the nimbleness that comes with being a startup or being a small company or running your own small business, to be honest, sometimes you can make the executive decision of one. You can have a meeting with yourself and decide this is what you're going to do. Or you can have a meeting with a few of your team or extended network or even your suppliers and get them together and say, collectively, I want to do better by my business, meaning I want to build some practices in from now. So when I'm scaling, right, and when I'm growing and I'm bringing people in, I'm bringing people in knowing that I'm already on the journey. I'm not doing that thing where a lot of people think that they have to wait until they've made it, in inverted commas, meaning, they have to wait until they're listed, or they've got to wait until they've got, a sizable team, or they've got X amount of investment. And it's always that when I get the funding, when I get the team, when I hire my DEI person, when I hire a head of HR, when I, there's all this when. And in the meantime, as we can see, the lives for black people never get any better, particularly for black colleagues within the world of work. And you end up giving the impression that the fight almost to eradicate systemic racism and to look at the structural element of inequality is only something that the larger companies should pay attention to. And I was talking to a very small company, and one of the things that I was so gratified to hear was the fact that the founder had basically said, like, look, if we can get this right when we're relatively small, it will just make life so much easier. And it's about maintenance and it's about tracking process. What it isn't about is a wholesale culture change. And he was like, because there's less of us. Do you know what I mean? So if there's less of you, you can just couple things together. Now, it might not be perfect, but you know what? Sometimes you can make a damn sight more improvement quicker than some of the larger companies, because you don't have the same hoops to jump over. So as ever, it's all about recognising that within our sphere of influence, we have so much more kind of power than we think, and rather always looking over here, like, what are they doing? Oh, I can't do that because. It's about, well, hold on a minute, what can you do? Right, you can look at your recruitment processes, you can look at the culture that you have within your organisation, even within your team. Even if you're a one-man or one-woman band, you can still look at the way that you scale and what are some of the principles that you're going to build in from now. What does that look like? And what I always say, my parting bit of advice, I guess, is one of my infamous questions that I gift to CEOs and to CPOs, but also to founders and to small business owners when they talk to me about this is, and I said, you've got to ask yourself two questions every time with this. When you're looking at your business, what you want to be saying is, who does our business work for? The way things are, the culture that we have, Who does it work for? Who can step through the doors right now and feel like this is the best thing since sliced bread and will have the time of their lives? I don't mean from a how are they going to perform perspective, but I mean think about who your culture, the type of people that your culture attracts. And then the opposite question is, who does our culture not work for? So who is going to step into our business? Who is going to find life just that little bit difficult for whatever reason? Who is going to feel like this is a space that's not for them? Who is going to feel like they won't be welcome, their voice will not be heard, and. Now, when you ask those questions, you're looking at your business through two different lenses, and it's something that I feel like we don't do often enough, because, you know, we're so excited about creating the brand illusion and saying how wonderful that we are to work for as MDs, CEOs, founders, you name it. So we kind of go to town on that. And we talk about the amazing things that we have within our business, and we even talk about some of the failings or some of the things that we're not quite there yet. But very rarely do we look through the lens of, like, who doesn't this work for? All it makes you think is, am I okay with who it works for and who it doesn't work for? Am I all right with that? If you are, fine, carry on as you were, you know, no change. If you're not, it's you start to think about, actually, who would I like our environment to really work for? It's not about listing off labels and categories from that point of view, but hopefully by now you can recognise that for many marginalised groups, obviously you know I'm focused on black people, there are a lot of organisations that don't feel welcome and safe right now. And they don't feel welcome and safe sometimes because they're not doing anything. So if they're not doing anything, it means they don't see the issues. And if they don't see the issues, it means they are not seeing that as black people, our space here is not equal and we are not treated equally. Or the other side is they might have been started to do something a little bit, but they're like talking a good game, but their actions are not backing up their words. Do you know what I mean? So it might look nice, the PR statement might look good, you know, the statement on the website might look all right to an outside eye, but internally things aren't right. So it's just my little view, and I thought it's worth pointing out because, you know, again, we always feel like it's always the big people, the big players that have all the power, and that's not the case at all.